What up, y'all? This is the Coach Prunty podcast. We live in here. R. Kelly got. R. Kelly took a big L in this one. 30 years. 30 freaking years. Now, just I'm gonna go ahead and give my take on this, all of this, y'all. I feel like it's justified, but at the same time, Hugh Hefner, Jasmine, what's his name? Harvey Weinstein, you said?
Yes.
All them people, Harvey Weinstein, Hugh Hefner, all them boys, they all was in on the same thing, man. They all people. I just feel like people are vilifying R. Kelly more than they're vilifying the other ones, except for Harvey Weinstein. They definitely are vilifying him. But if you look at it, man, what he was doing definitely horrible acts. As a female, Jasmine, what do you think about what R. Kelly is accused of doing?
I don't really think it should be a matter of male versus female. The standard should be the same across the board. The action should be reprehensible regardless of what your sex is. I don't think you should hold a woman to a lesser standard, a man to a higher standard. Sexual crimes are sexual crimes. And we tend to glorify when a younger man has an experience with a woman, but then when you see an older man committing crimes, everybody's up in arms. His punishment is pretty stiff. I can't even say that that's someone making an example out of him or anything like that, or that it's racist. I just think for once someone has to pay the price and there's justice for those victims. Even if they don't see themselves as a victim, some of them don't.
What well, I'll say this. When you look at it, the parents who were basically giving their children to R. Kelly, because let's just keep it real. At the time, he was the biggest R&B singer of all time, and like Gloria said, appreciate that, Gloria. He
Right.
is. She said he is still the best R&B singer of all time. I agree. Um, at the time, women were throwing themselves at him. Parents were letting their kids go and live with him. Um, if R. Kelly going down, shouldn't these parents go down? I mean, because this is like, go ahead.
They definitely should be held accountable for their actions, essentially giving their child up in exchange for whatever special privileges, clout, money, whatever it was at the time. Your responsibility is to protect your child. You don't use them in exchange for whatever it is that they might have been receiving.
That's true. But and this is what I'm gonna say on the topic. When I look at it, I mean, I did heavy research on what R. Kelly is accused of, and heavy research on how it all went down. And what he would do a lot of times, like girls would be like, "Oh, I want to be the next big singer." Like, I got a big dream of being a singer, and he would be like, "All right, come to the studio." He'd take him to the studio, and next thing you know, the girl is like living with him, and he's doing crazy things. We all know the crazy stuff he was into, and I mean, at what point? Because I felt the same about this, about the Bill Cosby situation. At what point do we look at it and go, okay, and you as a woman, at what point does a woman say, wow, maybe I should leave this situation? This guy's crazy or he's a creep. Because it seems like with Bill Cosby and same as R. Kelly, until they got like, until like the person actually ended up in prison, a lot of them were still brainwashed and thinking that like, oh, like I love R. Kelly, I'm so in love. It's like women fall in love with their abuser in a way. Um, what is your thoughts on that? Like, why were some girls that R. Kelly had living at the house still loyal to him to the end? And the same with Bill Cosby. Like, what is that all
It,
about? Mm,
as you said, um, it's actually a legitimately acknowledged, I don't want to call it a mental illness, but it's a legitimately acknowledged condition, referred to as Stockholm syndrome. a lot of people, those women, were groomed from a young age, or maybe in a particularly vulnerable time of their life. And then here, R. Kelly, he gets to be the central figure in their lives, give them purpose, or, like you gave the example of the children that were trying to have their singing careers. He gets to be seen as some sort of savior for them, maybe bringing them out of poverty or giving them opportunities that they otherwise would not have. And he becomes like the center of their world. And maybe in that moment, um, whether that moment spans over, a single instance or months or years, um, they are getting that feeling deeper and deeper. Maybe it's love, dependence, and just relying solely on him. So why would you then bite the hand that feeds you, in a sense? Like, he's giving you everything. Oh, you're living with him. Oh, he's giving you these opportunities. You don't want to turn against him. But then some women kind of break that spell and realize what it is. You're being groomed, or, you're not having a skyrocketing career. You're not taking off. Like, what's going on? Something's not adding up.
Right. Well, I will say, I mean, it is unfortunate, and this is why I educate guys on the MGTOW and the red pill, because at the end of the day, guys, y'all can't control these females. I mean, how many situations like this y'all got to see? This dude's trying to use cages. He's trying to um, basically control a lot of these women's every move. He had each one of them living in a different room. That's what I read. It's like, at what point do y'all realize that women aren't something that can be kept? Like, you can have the illusion, oh, my wife, I tell her what to do, and she's mine. She do whatever I say. But you going to jail, Bucko. You're going to jail as soon as you try to control, and especially if it gets physical. You're getting the Bill Cosby special, and you're getting the R. Kelly special. It's just simple as that. You cannot control these females. Now, I will say this that's why I like having females on the podcast. When you look at it, though, back in the 80s, back in the 90s, especially with the Bill Cosby situation, were these women, and if these women were willingly taking these drugs, willingly putting themselves in these situations, do they have any accountability?
Yeah, so there is a difference between sexual assault, rape, um, being forced to do anything. But if you just make a bad decision and you regret the consequences, that's an entirely different story. Um, that's not to say that somebody that, you had a lot of alcohol, you passed out, and then someone took advantage of you afterwards. That's not a situation that's okay. But if you are drunk, or you take these drugs, quaaludes, I think they were saying in the Cosby case, and you willingly take these drugs, and you are just kind of making a bad decision, and then you have a cognitive dissonance after, like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, or things don't work out the way that you thought they would. Oh, well, I slept with him, he didn't leave his wife, I'm not famous, blah blah blah. That's not something that you then years later get to have a moment of scorn or spite and try to ruin someone's career. And I think we have a lot of um situations like that with the Me Too movement, where you dredge up those old situations, or things that maybe weren't even what they were advertised in the actual context of the moment back then. And it's
Right,
like, oh,
right.
did me, or oh, he said this and that, and we took drugs, and then he forced himself upon me, so on and so forth. Um, I think there is his side, her side, and the truth will often lie somewhere in the middle. But a lot of these instances where you're just going way back, like in the case of Bill Cosby, I think here recently, he was released from prison, And then afterwards, here come more accusers. Why weren't you in the initial group? Like, why didn't you have anything to say then? It's just a lot of inconsistencies and unfortunate situations.
Right. And you know, guys, we don't on this podcast, we don't condone anybody. I actually condone the opposite. So any of y'all got something to say, I condone MGTOW. Men, go your own way. If I was advising R. Kelly, he should have been a great singer, went his own way. Yeah, you can deal with females, but just know ultimately you trying to keep them in a house forcibly, you're going to jail. And more than likely getting married to him, you're going down that way too. I mean, I'm the opposite of what R. Kelly even believes in. So guys, don't get this twisted. I'm not supporting anything R. Kelly does, or Hugh Hefner, or Harvey Weinstein. None of these guys are good guys. But I'm more so talking about, for example, let's say this. Women will put themselves in situations like, okay, they'll go to a party and get drunk. Well, at the party, there are men that are drunk as well. Well, if I'm not mistaken, if a man is drunk and a woman is drunk and something happens and it gets, turned into the police, the man will go down for that. Can you explain that? Why is that? And is that fair? That a man and a woman could be drunk, just like Bill Cosby. Those girls were at the house. They knew what they were taking. If you listen to the accounts of the people that were around back then, they said that the women knew what they were taking, and Bill was taking the same thing, and they both were high, drunk, whatever. And when it comes down, it seems like the man always gets the short end of the stick in that. What do women think about that? Like, should both people be accountable, or should it just stay to how it is?
So, personally, in a situation where both people are impaired, that kind of just becomes an unfortunate situation. Like, it cancels out. Two negatives cancel out in math, you know? There, it seems to be that as a man, um, perhaps they look upon you as having a higher responsibility. Maybe they view the woman as more petite, more slight, like, oh, maybe you should have been able to handle your alcohol or drugs or whatever it might be better. And that's why it still seems uneven. More of those gender biases, and not even, thinking about, oh, well, from a medical standpoint, he should have been able to handle his liquor better, or he should have been able to do this, that, he's bigger, stronger, whatever. I think it just boils down to the whole men versus women thing. Um, and looking at R. Kelly's case here, it seems like people were expecting him to kind of get a little bit more sympathy and more of a pass because of his own struggles. Like, I think they said he had dealt with sexual assault himself, a rough childhood. He had a learning disability. He's dyslexic. All of these things that they were bringing out, but he didn't get that pass because, like you were kind of saying, men are held to a higher standard. They
Yeah,
expect you to be.
I'll go ahead and say this: R. Kelly full of crap on that one. I don't think his past. I think he just wanted to, dominate some women. I think he's a dirty old man, like that clip I play outside. I think he's 62 years old. He's a dirty old man, and he was trying to uh, do the things that he was going to do. Um, I don't believe that one. I think R. Kelly he is what he says he is. Listen to his songs. Literally sung about everything that he did. I don't know if people realize that if you listen to his music,
Absolutely.
everything he would sing about is crazy. He really was talking about it. So when I'm talking about the two people being drunk and this and that, R. Kelly's a lost cause. I think what he did, he's over the line. But with the Bill Cosby situation, that was more iffy because it's like in the Deshaun. Okay, for example, Deshaun Watson. You got these massage therapists, okay? and they know what Deshaun is really asking for. All right. And when they do it and they take the payment, then they collude and come out with a lawsuit, knowing that even if they can't prove it, which they couldn't prove it, I think in criminal court it got thrown out, and now they're trying to do a civil case. But even if they can't prove it, more than likely Deshaun is going to settle. It seems like to me, women have circumvented all accountability when it comes to these crimes.
Okay.
Mhm.
On the flip side of that, like you mentioned earlier, women putting themselves in situations, do you think that Deshaun opened himself up for liability by participating in the things that he did, by having the behaviors that he did? He might say that things were consensual, but in this climate, it's more than likely going to lean toward whatever the woman is saying. So, did he open himself up to that liability of having to settle out of court, of having his reputation smeared publicly just because he wanted to do what he wanted to do? Like you said, R. Kelly, he wanted to do what he wanted to do.
Well, when you say he opened himself up to it, what do you mean? Because it's like, okay, all right. So I'm Deshaun Watson. Let's say Deshaun Watson. All right, I'm a weirdo. I'm not saying it's not weird, but say he's a weirdo, right? Deshaun Watson's weird. We can say that, but that's not against the law. If you
Mm-hmm.
paying massage therapists to do what they did, the
Mm-hmm.
worst thing they can say is that you're weird. Because the massage therapist is doing the act. So what is the woman in that situation? He's not preying on these women, he's
But
paying them.
both parties are inappropriate. The topic of sex work and all of that, that's something else. You can debate the morality, the appropriateness, all of that. But if you are doing that type of transaction, it's going to be kind of a he said, she said thing. And they're going to lean toward women. Believe all women, I think, is the thing right now. So he decided to frequent that establishment or establishments, have that type of massage therapy done. Um, and if they then decide the payment that they received isn't enough, they can absolutely spin it and say, well, he sexually assaulted me. Well, I felt pressured into doing this or that. And that's him putting himself in that position for his weird preferences.
All right, what is the position then? Okay, you pay a woman. You pay a woman. That's illegal. But it's also illegal for the woman to accept payment. So that's why I say, if anything, it should be a wash. Like I might be
Uh,
wrong, and if I'm wrong, let me know. But as a woman, if a girl sells herself, that's illegal, right?
in most states, yeah, there are some areas where it's legal for sex work, but I think in the end, though, even if it was illegal where they are to do that, and he would push back, oh, well, what you're doing is illegal too. I think in the end, that person would still come out ahead with whatever additional extortion or money or whatever that they tried to get from him. So it might be worth it to them to expose themselves to legal charges if they're going to get a big payday.
Wow. I don't know. When I look at it, I kind of feel for old men who are paying women. I think
Hmm.
it's a viable option, and I think that's what Watson is using. And let me explain why I say it's a viable option. I got a buddy who does that. Um, Young man, he's not attractive. Women don't really like him, and I don't agree with him doing it. But if it's a guy that has a ton of money, for you to pay for it, usually, besides the Deshaun Watson case, once you pay, the woman will leave, and you don't have to worry about her trying to even be in your life. She just takes her money and leaves, and everything is cool. What you'll do? Let's just say this, okay? I guess I need to make my point. Rich man meets a girl, he finds her attractive. If he tries to do it a traditional way, he opens himself up to all kinds of legal problems with this girl. I mean, you could be trying to date a girl that's not on your level, and she's at your house, she's snooping around. She can make up all kinds of stories and sell them to TMZ. It's just a very difficult time for a man to pursue a woman once he has the money of Deshaun Watson. So Deshaun Watson is trying to cut out the middle, the middle area, the dating. He's cutting out all that, and he's strictly giving her the money. I don't get how a woman is going to take the money and go to court, and the court's like, "What happened?" She's like, "Well, I felt violated." Did he pay you? Yeah, I accepted payment. I don't see how people would find that type of person credible when they're basically just a prostitute. I mean, I don't understand how prostitutes in modern day can sue men after they do the act and accept the payment. To me, that's just, I don't know. I mean, you could tell me what you think on that, because that's
So, in a sense, I mean, what you're saying is correct, but it's simply unfair. It's the way that it is, it's the way that things are going. It might be unfair, but that's what's going to happen. So, if you are in a position and you have something to lose, don't put yourself in situations where you might lose it. It
because
might seem more convenient
mm,
to circumvent the whole dating scene, and you're not trying to have emotions involved, be betrayed or blackmailed. You gave the example of someone, snooping, selling things to TMZ. But this is just equally, if not more so, damaging to you than having something on TMZ, because you can go to jail, you can be prosecuted, or if you're trying to get out of that, um, you can end up losing a big chunk of your money trying to pay off people, settle out of court, lawyers, fees, all kinds of things.
well, we might as well just say at the state of things right now, pay for play is pretty much risky. Guys, listen, I know a lot of people, a lot of dating coaches have taught y'all that paying for it is the safest route. But if women are doing the act, paying, getting their payment, and still taking you to court to sue you, well, you just basically ruin the whole point of pay for play. So you guys that are paying for it, got to come up with a new strategy, because like I say, I'm fighting for y'all's right to do it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, throughout history, it's never been a time where prostitutes could go and say, "I'm gonna accept $500," and then on the back end ask for $3,000. I've never seen that, and I'm talking $3,000. They probably hitting Deshaun Watson for a few million. I mean, the settlement for Deshaun Watson is probably ridiculous. How much money these women are probably getting out of him. So I don't know, man. Pay for play must be done, I guess, because it's clearly unfair. And it's not unfair because the courts, because when you take it to court, the court is going to throw it out. They're not going to give no prostitute $20,000 settlement. But what's going to happen is your reputation is going to take the biggest hit. That's why a lot of y'all have to settle before it even gets to court, because the reputation hit is bad enough. I mean, you settling out of court and giving the girl 500,000, a lot of times it's better than the reputation hit that probably will cost you um uh deals with Nike or endorsement deals. You'll lose. Look at how much Deshaun Watson has lost, and he has yet to lose in court. Just think about how much he has lost, and he has yet to lose in court. When Bill Cosby, they came back and said, "Bill Cosby, you're acquitted," or whatever happened. What happened to him? He got off or something like that back in the day, like a few years ago. I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah, something happened with Bill Cosby. He got off or something. But even when he got off, I remember people saying, "No, no, no, he did it."
Right.
So go ahead. You,
So, kind of same situations. Um, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, a lot. I think it was Gloria, you said in the comments, that said he was still the greatest R&B singer or whatnot. It's damaging not only to their current careers as they're trying to navigate themselves out of the situation, but it damages their legacy. Like, I remember the Cosby Show, different networks stopped carrying it. They wouldn't play the reruns. And I think that's still the case to this day. And, that some radio stations, clubs, whatever, they said they weren't going to play R. Kelly's music, none of his discography. So even though some people might overlook the situation, it definitely damages a person. So in the case of Deshaun Watson, you mentioned the endorsement deals. I think I'm not really a big sports aficionado, but was there some difficulty with him finding a team or renewing
Yeah.
his deal like that? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
that whole situation, that's why I say, it is unfair, but the climate is what the climate is. And if you're going to do paper play, I called it, you just have to be ready for the consequences. And I don't think at that point, when you've reached that stature, that level of wealth, notoriety, fame, I just don't think that it's a wise thing to do it. I don't think it's wise, period. But when you have that much, you're that high up with a long way to go down, a fall like that could be the end of your career.
All right. So we'll break it down like this. With Deshaun Watson, uh, he paid these massage therapists to do whatever they did. Basically glorified prostitution. Um, since that is not an option, and when you marry a girl, that's a risky option. What do females think about the MGTOW movement?
So,
Is that an option? Go ahead.
I mean, I would say it is. Everybody has, well, you can't even say everybody has the right to do things because sometimes you might have the right, but it works in your favor to not exercise it, or you have the right, and if you exercise it, you look a certain way. Um, I think that there's nothing wrong with the men going their own way movement, so to speak. Um, because I personally feel like everyone's going to end up kind of following those life principles anyway. Like you should establish yourself, work on yourself before presenting yourself to another person for your partner, before starting a family, before doing any of this, doing all of that. To me, the MGTOW principles kind of encourage stability, responsibility to yourself, accountability, all of that. So I wouldn't find any of those to be a negative.
Right. And that's why I said, when I look at it, okay, red pill content, MGTOW content, all that is kind of vilified in the media. Guys, if you Google MGTOW, they're like it's a terrorist organization. Like they try to make it like it's something crazy. And I'm like, when you don't have a philosophy, you end up like R. Kelly, trying to trap women in houses. When you don't have a philosophy on life, you end up like Bill Cosby. Guys, you have to have a philosophy when dealing with women. Women can be a beautiful thing. You can have kids, it'd be all amazing. But if you look at the statistics, more than often, you're gonna get destroyed on the back end. I mean, we're talking about divorce court, we're talking about the family courts, we're talking about you getting every other weekend, right? You paying child support. I understand child support if you're getting 50-50. But my gosh, when I realized and when I opened my eyes to the fact that a lot of these guys are getting 2 days for every 14 days and they're paying child support, I realized that the system is just not fair for you. And the fact that they're taking away for you rich guys out here, they're taking away the option to pay for play completely. Guys, Mick, you got to go your own way. Until the system is fixed, until the system is somewhat resemblance to any type of fair rules, I wouldn't even deal with women right now. All right, I would deal with them sparingly. Um, I definitely, if you look at Deshaun Watson and R. Kelly, I definitely wouldn't be controlling women. On the R. Kelly side, you shouldn't be trying to control them. And on the Deshaun Watson side, you can't even pay him either. What you need to do right now is just mind your business, get your money, improve your life, get your education, And literally, I know men, listen, I know. We don't even have enough stuff to spend money on. Women are the biggest spenders in the United States. Usually when we get money, we buy a futon and we buy, the latest Call of Duty or something. That's it. Just sit on your money. Just sit on your money. Maybe invest it in Bitcoin. I wouldn't even do that right now. But I mean, we don't, at this point, we just need to stop. We just need to hit a real pause button on dating. We need to put a real pause button on marriage. We need to put a real pause button on pay for play. We need to put a real pause button on everything. And it's not women's fault. It's the system. The system is made that when you get the bag and you think you Mr. Big Man, Mr. Big Stuff, who do you think you are? You walking around, you got your Nikes on, you thinking you the best, you driving your daggone new car, and they come knock on it. Hey, you got an assault charge. It ruined your life. The allegation alone ruins your life. It's not even about proving it in court. You get if you get alleged of graping, you are not coming back from that, buddy. Even if you prove that it was all untrue, you are not coming back from that. And that is why I have seen that they're trying to corner you guys. All right. If you can't pay for it, you can't marry it, and you can't go your own way, then what do they want men to do? If you marry it, divorce court is horrible. So essentially, if you marry it, you hoping and praying, you crossing your fingers like, please, woman, don't go insane at like the 13th year that we're married. Please don't go crazy and start, following these womanist ideas and start saying, I'm not happy, and, taking me to divorce court and just taking all my stuff. I mean, if you look at Jeff Bezos, look how it went down with him. Look at Dr. Dre. Guys, if you get a prenup, the system is so rigged against men. If you get a prenup, you thinking it's ironclad. Oh man, she ain't gonna get a dime. She could take it to court and challenge it and drain your money that way. Guys, they got all kinds of loopholes to, I'm not gonna say destroy you, but to humble you at any turn you try to go to. So going your own way is the only thing I see. I mean, unless you can say like, you could. Well, I'll tell you a philosophy, and as you a female, what if men started getting women from overseas? Why not just get foreign women?
Well, you're allowed to do and pursue whomever you want to. So if that seems to be a better option, then go ahead. I mean, there's nothing that really stops you other than the process to do it. I think um, maybe the cultural differences might provide something closer to what a man may be looking for in particular versus someone in America. They might have mannerisms that are undesirable or behaviors, that they just don't want in a partner. It's your right to seek someone elsewhere.
Right now, and I hear that, and that's a big deal. But also, I got to ask, since you here, as an American, I think y'all really had it wrong. Kevin Samuels became huge. He was not even. It's so many creators in that space besides him in the quote unquote manosphere that were there way before Kevin. Kevin just is like, he's somebody that y'all look at as mainstream, I would say.
Right.
And when he passed, I realized women and black women in general, they really hated Kevin Samuels. And he promoted getting people married once again. Um, why do y'all always oppose these male movements, we'll say? What is y'all's problem with
I
these men?
I don't know that it's an opposition necessarily, because in a lot of instances, if another person was to say exactly what he said, but more digestible, it's fine. I think it's about the delivery. Um, but maybe his delivery is what got him to the level of mainstream that he was. Maybe that was why he was popular, sort of blunt, sometimes kind of acidic, if you would. It's not that he was saying anything wrong. Marriage is a beautiful thing, promoting um, the return of the father in the home, trying to help people kind of build themselves up in a way is how I view it. It's just, if the medicine is bitter, you're less likely to take it. Sometimes you need like the antibiotics when you were a kid, the amoxicillin. You don't want the tablets or the capsules. You want the bubble gum flavored liquid, and it goes down smoother. They're able to consume and get what they need. But when it's, a bitter pill, that's hard to swallow, as the phrase goes.
Right. Well, that's why it's called the red pill. Gloria Hernandez says women love Kevin Samuels too. Is that true? I didn't know y'all. I didn't know women loved him.
I really
Oh,
think that they did, because it was a man's perspective and a lot of hard truths, instead of just giving a lot of people what they wanted to hear. So in some cases, I'll say again, the medicine analogy, it might have been a bitter medicine, but you take it and it knocks the sickness out. Some people, it's like, they always tell you, don't stop your antibiotic course before it's complete, or you'll have worse problems. Some people took a dose or two and stopped the medicine. And so their medicine, obviously was not effective. And those are the people that you might see that were saying, oh, I'm glad that he passed. Oh, good riddance to bad rubbish type stuff.
right. Well, that's interesting, guys. Yeah. All in all, what R. Kelly did is horrible, but we got to look at the overall picture. I mean, we got the king of R&B, Deshaun
Mm-hmm.
Watson. We got Bill
Mm-hmm.
Cosby. We got a ton of these powerful men who thought they were taking a route. Obviously, they thought that these routes were going to work, and none of them worked. So, guys, especially you guys with stuff to lose, man, there's really no answer but monk mode, MGTOW. I mean, if you go monk mode, stay to yourself, hit your layups. If a girl's just throwing it to you, I mean, you can take that. But even if you take that, it could still come back and bite you. I don't know. I don't even.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's just like you might as well just go. You might as well just uh, the system is unfair. That's all I can tell you. I mean, the best thing for you to do is straight monk mode. Hit your layups, but even when you hit your layups, when the girl leaves, you better text her and say, "Did you like that? Did you consent to that?" And you better get your proof down. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. I mean, I know it's funny, but it's like that's what we're at as a society. Honestly, we need to start writing waivers. I mean, you might not have to start doing a waiver. You men will start to lose. I mean, I'm not kidding. Waivers are coming. I'm telling you, that's what's coming down the pipe. Right? You might have to start making people sign waivers because there was a white baseball player one time, and this girl was like, "Oh, I want you to come over and do this and that." He was a professional baseball player. I can't think of his name, but I'm sure y'all know. Um, and she was like, "I want you to do this and that and hit me." And he hit her, and like she went to her friend. Her friend was like, "Oh my god, like you got scratches on your face and body and blah blah blah." And he was like, "You need to go to the police." And she went to the police. And what the police found out was there were text messages where she told the guy to do that to her. And even then, she was like, "Well, I told you to hit me, but not that hard." And I'm in the messages, she was like, "Hit me hard." So I don't know. I don't even know. Even if you get consent, guys, just be smart and realize, man, a lot of times, your biggest downfall won't be another person. Your biggest downfall won't be Pookie and Ray Ray down the street. I mean, they'll delete you too. But your biggest downfall will be who you're sleeping right next to today. I'm just being real. Women, a lot of times, will be your biggest downfall. If you ask a lot of married men, a lot of them are broken, so they'll tell you some BS usually. But truthfully, you have to watch women, and it's not because they've changed or they're anything different. It's because the system is set up in a way that they don't have any accountability. Like I said, if you're drunk and another woman is drunk, she can take you to court, and usually everybody, society, will take her side. If you paying your child support and your woman goes to Facebook, everybody in the comment section is going to take her side, even if she doesn't even have a job. If you look at my man, the guy with the McDonald's, he was buying food for his kid every day. Obviously, he didn't have that much money. You look at his car, and you kind of read the situation. He didn't have much, but he made sure to provide for his child. And even then, women ganged up and said, "Hey, if you're gonna provide for his child, you need to provide for all my children that I've had by different males."
I
And could you touch on that for a second? Go ahead.
I don't think that was the consensus at all, at least from what I saw. It seems that more people were actually supportive of him, and I think because it was so kind of shocking, like, and there actually was a visual. I'm sure a lot of stuff like that behind closed doors when no cameras are on occurs. And the fact that she thought it would play in her favor really, again, speaks to the climate of where we are today. He was absolutely in the right. There was nothing wrong with him wanting to provide for his own child, got all his favorites. Yeah, a burger, a fry, his drink. That's what he likes, is what he said in the video. And then she just pitches it all on the ground. None of the solutions he gave was she accepting. Hey, he can eat it in the car with me. She said no. That's totally inappropriate for her to deny the child from seeing his own father and having a meal with his parent. That's his other parent. He's being active, present in his life. There's no reason for her to have behaved in the way that she did, except out of spite. Where are the other children's fathers that they're not providing in the same manner that this man is? I think she called him, she said he wasn't a good dad and she's going to expose him. And she really ended up exposing herself. It seems like the consensus, the majority of people on the internet are saying that they are in support of him, as they should, because what she did was just uncalled for. Can he eat it in his room? No. Can he eat it with his dad? No. It just was inappropriate. And I
Well, what does that mean?
understand.
Well, let me say this. Okay, and women say this a lot, and women will say, all these things. But let me ask you, what do we do with this information? Could he take it to court and get custody of his child? You know what I mean? It's like the way the
You know,
system is set up. It's nothing. He like, okay, obviously this woman is crazy, and I'm glad some people on the internet can see it, but he's living it. Like he must feel like he's in hell. I mean, think about it. Think about what he's going through. A woman can physically throw your McDonald's that you bought for your son on the ground, and as a man, you got to bite your pride and do nothing about it. Guys that have kids, I feel sorry for you, because think about that. You buy your child food, and if the baby mama wants to, she can throw it on the ground, and she doesn't fear any consequence because they have basically clipped y'all's wings as fathers. They've basically told you the woman is the boss.
so I would hope that, I mean, I know it's realistic that a lot of people are experiencing situations like his, but I would hope that you're able to foster a better relationship with the other parent of your child if you're in a co parenting situation like that. As far as could he take it to court and get custody? Um, Absolutely. I would think that that would be something that's a nail in a coffin. Like she did that hoping to quote expose him, and all it did was show her own instability and inability to properly provide for all of her children. So if he's being a consistent um figure, provider, stable, more so than her, then it's possible that he could. Now, is it likely, like the way you've mentioned the family courts? I can't speak to that. I don't think that it would go in his favor, just one incident of with proof, but she's unstable in finances. I think she said that she ran through all of her food stamp assistance. she's unstable emotionally. Like, we watched her yell and scream and throw the food on the ground. She's unstable in a lot of ways. So that wouldn't be a fit home for a parent if this, for a child rather, if this is going on consistently. I think he could argue for custody, but will it go in his favor? We all kind of know how that goes.
It's crazy, guys. Hey, if I recommend you guys something, man, I wouldn't raise a child in the United States. I just wouldn't. It's a it's a fruitless job. As a father in the United States, what's going to happen is you're going to be taken for granted. Um, Regardless, that guy, he brought McDonald's to his kid. He thought I mean, geez, man, just me thinking about it is just so depressing. He probably spent money on that McDonald's, and he know he didn't have that much money probably, and he was
Absolutely. Because I think he said in the video too, he was like, maybe if it was just one or just two, and he did mention his bank account. So, like, that's just a very depressing situation, like you said, and he really couldn't do anything. If he would have put his hands on her, he would have been wrong and going to jail. If he would have reacted with the same energy she was bringing, then he would have been wrong. People would have clung on to that instead of seeing, what really was going on in the video, and that she was the aggressor. So it's just a really unfortunate situation
we
for
got
any.
AP Havoc in here. Hold on, we got AP Havoc. She said, "If the baby ain't mine, it's not my order." And that's the thing I'm saying. I mean, I can just come from a black community standpoint. Like, what in the world? What in the world would be a reason for a man to get with a single mom in 2022? What in the frick frack? If you get with a single mom, you are setting yourself up for that McDonald's situation. You got all these different ideologies. She got one baby daddy, two baby daddies, three baby daddies. And then she expects you to buy food for each one of those kids, and she's not held responsible for her choices of those other baby daddies. When you can just get you a girl that has no kids and start fresh and actually build a traditional family where everybody's thinking relatively the same. Why would you get with a single mom? As a woman, why and listen, as a woman, I know y'all, you know, don't think much about men getting with single moms. Y'all probably don't understand why men don't usually want single moms. So why would you recommend a guy get with a single mom in 2022?
I
Why?
don't think anyone recommends it. And I think we actually are aware of it, especially if you come from a single parent household yourself. You see what the absence of the other parent is. Like, you feel that personally. I don't have any kids, so I can't speak to what it's like as a single mother, trying to navigate the dating world and whatnot. But if you have a single dad and a single mom and you're blending your family, something like that. But when it comes to the situation you mentioned before, where there's number one, number two, number three, number four, there are just too many opinions, too many variables to the equation for everything to be peaceful, to be anything worthwhile. It would be just too much, not worth the hassle. Even when people have the best of intentions, all those differing emotions, differing behaviors, mannerisms, it's somebody's bound to get rubbed the wrong way. Somebody's bound to do something. And then where do you go from there? And the kids are caught in the middle.
And like, to be real, as a single, you get with a single mom, you can't even use your repertoire that usually fathers have to discipline the kid. You get with a single mom and you try to whoop that child, that baby daddy might come through and clap you the next day. You might lose your life trying to stop little Billy from lighting the kitchen on fire. Little Billy, hey, can you please stop leaving the
You're
oven
not
on?
mad.
Hmm.
You're
Oh yeah.
not mad.
Right. Little Billy will say, "You're not my dad. I'm gonna tell my dad you whooped me." And then little Billy's dad will come and delete you right in front of Walmart at your job. In front of everybody. And look, if you don't even get me started with the custody exchanges, you get with a single mom, she says, I just really want you to be there when I do this custody exchange because my baby daddy, he ain't ish. And he always trying to intimidate me. You show up armed to the teeth, because you know how men are, they're very territorial. You show up armed to the teeth. You and the old man look at it. I mean, it's just these custody exchanges are like war zones. Literally, if you look it up, guys, look up custody exchange deletions, and you will see. Or one that comes to my mind is one time a white guy um, was at a custody exchange, and another white guy came, and he wanted his kid, and the woman was like, "Well, the kid's not here." And you know how it is with every other weekend. You want your kid for your 2 days, and essentially to wrap it up, um, the mom was like, "He's not here, so you need to leave." And the guy was like, "No." And the other guy was like, "You need to get off my property," and literally deleted him with a shotgun. All of that was hyped up by the single mom. And what happens when the baby daddy and the new man gets sent to jail and the baby daddy gets deleted? What happens when that situation unfolds? The woman is free to send her peace leave all around the town. She deleted both the problems at once. The simping new man is going to jail and the baby daddy is under the ground. See, women ain't slick. I know that women been pitting men against each other for years. For years, women have been pitting each other against each other. So, as a woman, what do you think about that? Do women, you like single moms, do women pit men against each other, or am I just talking crazy? Like,
I don't
is that a?
think,
Uh,
um, as far as single moms, like, I'm sure it definitely happens, but I don't think that's exclusive to just single moms. Women, period, do that. Um, to try to get the most advantageous outcome for themselves. So, there are two sides, and well, really three. And the father, stepfather, whoever's in the home, that person's only getting one side. So, of course, they get all hyped up and they don't even really know what they're walking into, or it's not what they think it is. And then you ruin your life. You could have potentially taken someone else's life. It's just a whole lot of nonsense that doesn't need to be. But even when you're focusing just on the children and have the best of intents, you can still find yourself in those manipulative situations. So, I mean, yeah, women do that. Single mothers, women, period, pit people against each other. I want this to happen, or I want them to have their child. We're just going to do this and that. And honey, he threatens me and whatever. Like, it just happens. It's sad that it does, but I don't see the climate changing as far as family courts, divorce courts, custody battles, all of that. It's broken with no timeline of it being fixed.
Mad Max said, "Single mothering is a horrible investment, even if it gets mad right. You take yourself through a lot of unnecessary BS." That's true.
Yeah.
Mad Max says single mothers are obviously lacking self-awareness. Now I'm gonna say this. I don't have anything. This is how I look at it. Single mothers have a very important job, and that's raising kids on their own. I get that. Everything is, trust me, I got the sympathy for them in that situation. It's not that I have anything against women. I have stuff against the system. I think women get that wrong. Us people that follow, the red pill people or the MGTOW people, they look at it as just like they did with Kevin. They look at it as we have a problem with women. No, it's the system. It's the, hey, I could be the breadwinner, but the child automatically will go to the mother. Well, why is that fair? If the mother has no money, if the mother has no home, why do I have to take my money and provide for the both of them? Why don't the child come live with me? Because that's the best place for the child. That's just my, cup of tea. Now,
I
go ahead.
think that goes back to the gender roles and the societal norms of our past, because the man was always the provider financially, and women stayed at home. They were the nurturers, they raised the kids, all of that stuff. And even though women are now entering the workforce, things are different, you still have that, okay, well, you made the child with her, so you take care of her and the child, even though you're divorced now,
No, no,
alimony.
no, 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 no. I have to say this. If we go on for the norms of the past, what happened in the past was when the mother and a woman and a man divorced, which is very rare. Divorce rates have skyrocketed. Let's
Hmm.
just say a divorce is very rare back in the day. Y'all mean to tell me that the man didn't keep his kid and the woman took the kid and dipped?
Now, what I mean by that, is more not necessarily situation from then equaling situation now, but the roles. Like the woman is the nurturer, you're the provider. Now, even though back then they may have gone with their child, the father may have gone with their child, I
Yeah,
think
the
it's
father took the child. The child, okay, let's say, okay, it's a farm. Obviously, the man owns the farm. Men have the most wealth in the United States. I don't know why women don't got that in their head. I think women are walking around here thinking they got the bag like that. I want y'all to look at statistics of how much women have and how much men have. It's not even close. So for women to always get the kid, to me, I'm like, I know money isn't everything, but I'm like, who is to say that the woman is best for raising children? I know for many men, I can tell when a guy is raised by a single mom. He acts very feminine. A lot of times he has those mannerisms that women have. So a lot of times in life, you need less of a nurturer and more of a leader. You know what I'm saying? You need more of a masculine presence in the house. So what, like we was talking about back in the day, hey, you have a boy, okay. A mother and a father have a son. The son grows up, I can understand if the kid is like 3. But if the son is 12 years old and the man and the woman split up, the son is going with the man.
Mhm.
I could not imagine back in the day uh, a woman somehow having this power that she can basically say, my son's going with me. That is not how that went down. I guarantee you the government came in probably when the women's movement came through around the 70s and was like, okay, let's help these women out. And it has went too far. It has went way too far. It definitely has went way too far. It's like, honestly, if a woman at Chick-fil-A had a baby by Puff Daddy, when they go to court, the court is going to say, Puff Daddy, you need to pay that woman at Chick-fil-A to raise your child. Puff Daddy's like, well, I want full custody. And the courts will say, no, the child needs his mother. But how, court? How is the child in better hands with the woman that works at Chick-fil-A? How, court? And that's what I mean. It's a broken system. It's all just so biased that at this point it's just irrelevant to even get women pregnant in the first place. You might as well, and I'll tell you a scheme I thought of. If you want a child that bad, get the bag and get to where you can travel country to country to country. There are countries with more conservative values. Have a child there, deal with their laws, stay away. Like Michael Blackson said, if y'all look it up, Michael Blackson said this. He said, I will never raise my child in America. Stay away from raising children in America. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you had a woman in Cuba and got visitation, like, okay, you had a child with a woman in Cuba and she let you have every summer, a lot of men are getting every other weekend. That man that has a child that lives right up the street will spend less time than you with your child that lives in Cuba. That's how bad our system is in America. Your child could be right down the street And the woman will be throwing your McDonald's on the ground, telling you, nah, you can't see your son. Just straight manipulating you. And the courts will not care in the United States. So that's just how I feel about that. Do you feel like fathers are important as a woman? And I see in the comments, I think women, son, daughter, father is very different purposely. Can't women's role is important. Don't do that. I mean, women's role is important, but what is a woman's role? I mean, for the most part, a woman's role is a nurturer, and that's not, especially for men, you need structure more than nurturing. In my opinion, I just know when you deal with women, guys have a harder time manipulating women that have a father at home than women that are single mom raised. If a girl is in a single dad situation, she is better off than if she's in a single mom situation. That's just my opinion. That's honestly just my opinion. If guys, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can hear me when I say this, if you're dating a girl that's in a single mom situation, she's a little more loose than a girl that has a single father situation, and that just is what it is. All right. So, like you say, in the Black community, there is an influx of single moms. I mean, you marry a woman in my community, you have a 20% chance of raising your kid in a two-parent household. I really would pull that statistic up for y'all, but we about to get off here, but you can look it up yourself. 80% of children raised in the Black community is raised in a household with a mother and a stepdaddy or a single mom. How do we ever get ahead with that? What do we do with that information? I mean, they've completely erased the Black father out the household. Just think about that. So when girls are like, oh man, these Black men are this or that, or, I even say this myself. Sometimes I think, a lot of men in our community are super emotional, and instead of fighting, they want to get to shooting. That's because they're emotional because they was raised by their mother and they've turned away from God. Men bring that structure. So I'm just saying, and I'll let you say, do you feel like I'm taking it too far and that, mothers are just as important, or what is your thoughts on what I just said?
So for sure, I don't want anybody to feel as if it's a shot at
Hold on. Mad Max said, I'm sure women that grow up with the dad, she's a man pleaser because of patriotism. I don't know what that means. A lot of unlearning misogynistic views. Mad Max, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask the audience a question. I want to know, is the United States a man-made and a man-run country? Yes or no? I want to find the country that are run by women. I want this woman land. Because see, when people say misogynistic and man pleaser, every woman in this country is ran by men. The military overwhelmingly is full of men. The government full of men. Has there been a female president? I don't think so. This world is ran by men. Who made your house that you're living in right now? A man. Men run this whole country. Men run this whole world. And I would hate for a major war to wake you women up to the point that you need a strong man in the house, because that's what the world is. The world is men. I don't know any influence that women have. Where is the women? Can you explain, Jasmine? Please tell me, because I know you a lot of women are got this womanist mentality. When Roe v. Wade went down, right? They straight took your rights.
Mm.
What y'all do about that?
So the response to
Mm-hmm.
that has been just more of protests. But who
All
are
right,
you?
all right. So you asked men. You asked men. Can I please have my rights back? Please, please. Can I have my rights back? Please, please, pretty please. Can I have my rights back, Mister Peckerwood? Please, can I have my rights back? Is that all women could do?
So again, in the world that we live in, it is exactly as you said. The world is run by men. Um, I don't think that in our lifetimes we'll see any systemic change, even, just in America, much less the entire world, to where, oh, well, women have a major say, women are a major part of policy, all of these things, that they're the majority in any of this. So you just kind of have to go with the flow of things until you're given a little bit of grace or mercy from whatever man is in charge that works in your favor. You can make it uncomfortable for them, like via the protests, but otherwise, you are still relying on them to make the decision, regardless
Now,
of what it is you want.
now, do y'all have a problem with that? Do y'all have a problem with being in a male-run society?
It depends on who you ask. Some people are more feminist or womanist. Some people think that it is the way that it should be according to their religious beliefs. Um, I don't personally have a problem with it. It's just the way that things are. And
Well,
maybe that
what are y'all's end goal? I mean, let's just look at it. Womenism. Okay, because I'm really trying to understand what if women could snap their fingers and they was in power and men were wiped out of the face of the planet.
I don't know that that's what women would want either.
What would y'all want? I'm just saying. Okay,
I
let's
think
get it right. What is what? Okay, women is women. End goal, equality. Y'all say that. Y'all have gotten equality and past equality in plenty of
so.
areas. In,
What I think is, I think a lot of people say equality, 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 and what they're really looking for is equity at this point, because you can get the same resources or the same opportunities. You fill the slot that you're allotted to be the token woman or the token minority, whatever it is. But what you are able to do with that opportunity in the current climate is still limited. So a lot of people say equality, give us both an apple, um, when they really will mean equity. Okay, well, you already have an apple peeler, apple core, blah, blah, blah. You can do whatever you want with your apple, but me, I'm having trouble. So I think a lot of people, they're wanting equal pay. They're wanting to be able to do the same things that men do without judgment or,
what do you mean equal
those.
pay? What do you mean equal pay? Where does that come? I think women are paid equal. What do you
That
mean
you
by
hear
that?
a lot. One of the biggest tenets I think I hear is the equal pay thing. And for that, there's some statistic that's quoted that women make, I think it might have been 15 cents, but don't quote me, less per dollar than men do. So where you make a dollar, a female will make 85 cents. Um, and that may not be the case in all professions or everywhere. And women have a lot of allowances when it comes to working or not working. It's acceptable for them to be a stay-at-home mom, whereas the stay-at-home dad is frowned upon. Like, to me, a lot of those inequalities that are spoken of can be taken as advantages in some situations, because even though you might not be equal, it's a positive. that you're not having all of those equal things. Like, I'm sure many women will think, well, my gosh, like, we said equal pay and equal this and equal that, and now I am working in a factory, standing up 12 hours a day, and that I would absolutely rather be at home raising my child in a traditional, well, traditional, older 1950s type thing. So everything doesn't have to be quote unquote equal to me. In some cases, the tradition might be preferable, and there's no shame in wanting one thing or the other. If you would prefer and feel fulfilled in a working role, if you would prefer um, certain things, you shouldn't be shamed for them. You should be allowed or have the right to do that.
So why, when Russia invaded Ukraine, why weren't there Ukrainian women on the front lines?
I really don't feel educated enough on the topic to speak to that. If it's a cultural thing,
Overwhelmingly, I don't even think women sign up. Do y'all sign up for the draft?
I don't think, and again, I don't feel educated enough to speak on it, but I don't think that it's required, like for men with selective service, um, you know, automatically this is what's happening type of situation. I don't think that women are a part of that. So again, that's something else that might be seen as an advantage to a woman. Like, you don't have to worry about, oh,
Well, let
well,
me explain. I'm gonna explain to you why women deserve less. Now, listen here. I'm about to really break it open right now.
okay.
If you think women deserve more, I think women deserve less custody. I think it needs to
Hmm.
be 50-50 split. It needs to be,
Okay.
I think it needs to be this. A man and a woman have a child, the man should have it 1 week, the woman should have it another week. That should be the baseline. All right. I feel like nobody should pay no child support. I
That's
think
an interesting take. Do you think that would provide stability in any
no,
sense for
I think one parent will be exposed, usually be the woman, that she ain't got it together. So then once that happens and they figure it out, oh, I got somebody. Yeah. Once that happens and one parent can't provide, then that parent needs to take a secondary role. But as long as both parents can equally support, then they should share 50-50 custody. 100%. Especially once the child
I think
is of age. We're talking about a child getting to like maybe 6 or 7 years old. Now there are other circumstances, right? We got extenuating circumstances, like if something's wrong with the child, it could be different. But overall, you can't sit here and say that women deserve more when your seed as a man isn't even really yours. It's the stepdaddy's most of the time. If you get every other weekend, that's 2 days out of every 2 weeks. That means the stepdaddy is seeing your kid for 10 days to your 2 days. How are you going to influence your child like that?
that's a good point.
So y'all saying women deserve more. When is enough enough? What are y'all fighting for? What is the end of the road?
Is this a question for the audience? Because I think you
Just
and
just
I.
just talking. Yeah. What is the end of where is the end of the road? Kayla Graham said, if there is a stepdaddy, listen, listen,
Mhm.
listen, 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 listen. And this is what a lot of women do. They play stupid games. Um, when you have a child with a woman, and I'm gonna tell you a lot of you young guys that are watching this, if you have a child with a woman and y'all don't work out, that woman is gonna deal with so many men after you. You're not even gonna be able to count it, Bucko. It's gonna be a tragedy for your child. If your girl gets you every other weekend visitation, you have set your family back for at least 2 generations. I promise you. I promise you. If your if your baby mama is like that McDonald's baby mama, how does your child have a chance to succeed? We're not talking about, oh, you know, what the mom can do for the child. The mom can't teach a boy how to be a man. So he's at the least losing that access. For 10 days out of every 2 weeks, he's around a woman. What can that do? But nothing but stunt the growth of that child. So how is he supposed to compete with kids that have a father at the home? So it's just like stepdaddy, people say stepdaddy season and this and that. Guys, I wouldn't even put myself in a situation to be a stepdaddy. Let just let that heartache go, man. If a woman is in a situation where she need a stepdaddy, then you need to count how many baby daddies she got. If she got 2 or 3 baby daddies, man, turn around and walk away. We're not dealing with American women. We're not dealing with normal women. We're dealing with these womanists, these people who want power, right? They're on a power trip. That guy with the McDonald's bag did something that was right. And to show her power, she threw it on the ground. Now, if he would have got violent, they would have tried to lock him under the jail and say he was wrong. They would have literally tried to lock him under the jail and say he was wrong. But see, I got this knowledge, you know? So that's why I don't worry about these things in my life because I'm very educated. I study these things. I like to speak for the men that are uneducated, that are still singing songs like Marvin Gaye. They're still loving the Black Sisters. Like Chris Brown. I saw you from across the room and you got my attention. You got my attention. You will see a girl from across the room and fast forward 20 years, she's stealing your money in divorce court. I want to say, oh, I know you know your name, but excuse me, miss. I saw you from across the room. Black men, stop singing.
Okay, well, maybe the woman
You
said
singing to the
she
enemy.
can run it.
Listen, the woman laying beside you right now is your worst enemy. We fall down, but we get. Shut up!
Oh my goodness.
These preachers don't love you. These first ladies don't love you. We don't have any allies in this. We fall down. Everybody clap your hands for Tyrone that just got out of prison. That's who they support. Inmates, single moms. They got preachers that are homosexual. Guys, it's no way to run, nowhere to hide. If you are a straight white male or a straight black man, we fall down. They singing about you. They singing about you. You are singing to the enemy. Stop.
Oh my gosh. Do you feel oppressed by these other
No,
movements?
no. I don't want no more singing. That's the first thing we need to do as black men. Stop singing. It ain't nice. It ain't nice out here for you. You thinking you singing to your girl. Listen, this is what happens, guys. You meet her, you singing to her, you doing all this. Women live in phases. You get with your wife. Okay, a wife is for life, right? As women, right? Isn't a wife supposed to be for life?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say your 20s, she's a good woman. Your 30s, she a good woman. And through her 40s, she's Meg the Stallion. Women ain't like y'all think, man. They can't be controlled.
So let's not do the double standard too. I think we had somebody to say that in the comments about the double standards. So you're saying women might start wilding and being Megan the Stallion, but men, y'all also have
Tory
a
Lanez didn't do it.
y'all also can have a
Let that
midlife.
sink in. We fall down.
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
hear that. Tory Lanez didn't do it.
Caitlin, so
Men are oppressed.
members,
Men are oppressed in this current day, and y'all refuse to see it. Ike Turner, somebody come and say Ike Turner. Ike Turner, I don't want to say. Kevin Gates, didn't his wife cheat on him? Didn't Kevin Gates' wife cheat on him? I don't know.
I
But I'm
think
going to tell you,
he
go ahead.
wife has another child, they said too. So, I mean, but this is just, internet talking. But to the double standards, you are with someone for a long time, you grow together, you have ups and downs. You said maybe she turns into Megan the Stallion, but like y'all will wild out and have a whole nother family. Y'all will just up and leave the wife, buy a new car, all kinds of things when y'all have a midlife crisis. So, I mean, it happens from both sides in a marriage. Sometimes people grow old and go off into the sunset together, like happily.
Well, I'm going to say this, guys. This is not the day and age. You ain't Patti LaBelle, all right? Don't be eating no pies. When she cook you a pie, throw it in the trash.
Oh my
You need to
goodness.
you need to look at yourself in the mirror, man. You're sleeping with the enemy. Throw them Patti LaBelle pies in the trash.
You can't have it both ways. On one hand, it's like men rule the world. And then on this segment, you're like, oh, men are oppressed by us. You said it's the men that'll make the decision and our movements don't matter. And then you flip it and say, well, look at these movements and things that they're bringing to the table. They are oppressing us.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that you don't seem to understand. Men, men. I grew up with guys that get all the women. I grew up with guys that get all the women. And now women have turned their back on them, call them the problem, call them this and that, deadbeat baby daddies, this and that. And I'm watching this. I'm watching all around me, all the best men get chopped down.
So
Right?
I would like to agree with Caitlin where she says all
Oh,
women
I
aren't
don't
doing.
want to. No. Caitlin, no. No. Men, you need to start knowing how to tell women no. Don't
Okay.
sing no Chris Brown. Don't go to church trying to be friend. You go to church as a man with no kids, they're gonna try to hook you up with a 300-pound woman with 6 kids, and they're gonna say, "Sister Janice is so sweet. She is a God. She has changed her life, and you need to give her a chance. You need to give her a chance because Sister Marie is the woman for you." Guys, if you don't want to sit, they used to say church is the best place to find a woman. That is wrong. That is the biggest L you could take, is going to church trying to find a woman this day. The real men have left the church for that reason. The church has bent the knee to the womanist movement. Now go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you, Dad. I just I get pumped up because my
Uh,
brothers out here, they're getting every other weekend visitation. It hurts my feelings. I'm out here MGTOW, I'm out here playing Xbox. They out here trying to change the diapers and the woman throwing the diapers on the ground. They trying to
oh,
buy a Big Mac and they throwing the burgers on the ground.
that,
I'm angry. I'm
this
angry.
this is not the norm, I would hope. In the same way that you tell women, well, you should have made better choices than Pookie and Ray Ray, so on and so forth. Well, you should advise your male audience. Maybe they should have made better choices. Maybe they should have become educated, like you said. Maybe they should have become educated and made better decisions. Maybe they should have chose a different woman.
Well, what is
Maybe
the red decision? What is the
not.
red decision? What is the decision that a man should make? If you was to give, we'll end with this because I know we're running kind of long. What
Yeah.
decision would you give men in this day? And don't, just because you're on this podcast, don't cater to my ideology because I'm really looking for answers. I know that MGTOW might work, but as a woman, what is a strategy if a man wants to raise his kid in a two-parent household that's most effective in your opinion? Because, go ahead.
So, to me, to encourage the success of the relationship, you actually staying together, um, it may kind of sound broken recordish from me, but it's so important to have communication, open communication. It's so important that if you need help, get therapy. If there is something that's worth fighting for, then fight for it. I think a lot of people give up on their relationships too soon, or you'll be in a constant cycle of trying with this one, it doesn't work. This one, it doesn't work. This one, it doesn't work. And you create a lot of quote unquote broken homes. Um, Everybody that you're in a relationship with, it's okay to date. And dating doesn't mean that you're going to have sexual intercourse, relations, whatever, have a quote high body count. Um, it's okay to date and try to find your best match. It's okay if maybe it's not the first or second, maybe it takes you a while to find that Prince Charming or whatever, the twin flame, whatever you want to call it. But invest some time in yourself and the relationship before you take it to a step that's not reversible, having a child with someone. You are connected with them forever when you have a child. So I don't see that as something you should just make rash decisions about. Everybody that you date, you don't need to have a child with every boyfriend, every, person that you hook up with. It seems like people think that children will make their bond stronger. You hear that a lot, or it'll keep the family together. And it ends up being the exact opposite. Or you have a child that there's resentment toward the partner, the father didn't want it, or, didn't want to be with you. Just so many variables. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to children. Um, because they're going to suffer for it as well. Like you said, it damages your family for generations. Generational trauma is real. Adverse childhood experiences are real. Um, I think it's very important to have both parents in a household. Each person, mother and father, brings something to that child. You might say that the man should influence sons more, the women should influence daughters more. Regardless of what your ideology is, you can't deny that the nuclear family is preferable. But if that's not the case, if somebody's relationship didn't work out, that's not for us to bash them. And it really does, even if you have a two-parent household, it really does take a village to raise children. I think you had on a previous podcast, I think maybe it was Eddie Lopez, and some others too, I'm sure, that mentioned the importance of having a community rally around you. If you don't have a father, maybe there's a father figure. If you don't have a mother, maybe there's somebody that's a mother figure. I think they're both important.
Right. Well, guys, yeah, it's a traumatizing day. Um, Shout out to the people that understand how bad this is. R. Kelly was a great R&B singer. Um, his legacy will be forever tarnished. Um, Still, probably the best R&B singer of all time. Probably. Um, I guess
Probably.
my top three will go him, David Ruffin. I go Marvin Gaye. What's so funny about David Ruffin? You ladies think that's funny?
So I'm looking here at your comments. Mad Max says never works. Surprise, clown emojis.
Yeah, Mad Max. Let me tell you something, Mad Max. It never works. When you're dealing with women, you're sleeping with the enemy. All right. There's no way around it. You're sleeping with the enemy. And when you're going to find this out, you're going to find this out during the divorce court proceedings. All through the relationship, she's going to say, oh, we doing it for love. Don't get no prenup. We doing it for love. And trust me, listen, if you get a prenup, you already setting up for us to end up divorced. It means you're trying to ruin a marriage from the beginning. We're doing it for love. And you're gonna realize she's gonna be the biggest enemy of yours once you hit that divorce court proceeding. She is gonna take you for everything you worth. And that's just what I know. Everybody in divorce court was once in love. But you need to realize women ain't these angels that society try to make you believe they are. So anyway, guys, we'll get up out of here, man. I know I went a little crazy today. I just get hyped up because I get angry for you, man. A lot of you men are buck broken, you know. I still got it. Look at me. We fall down, but
Okay.
I still got the moves. I got the moves because I ain't broken. A lot of you men, right, in your early 20s was singing Chris Brown and all this, girl. And now she got you with tons of kids, tons of child support, tons of just horrible. It's a horrible lifestyle that trying to be a player or a Mac leads you down. That's a horrible lifestyle. So if you get a philosophy, you can live a happy, healthy life as a man. But anyway, guys, we'll get up out of here, man. It's the Coach Prunty podcast, and we out. Peace.
Bye.